All right, man. I don't want to be like this. Oh, I genuinely want to say, hey, it's OTAs. CJ Stroud isn't throwing. It's really no big deal. As early as this morning, I said to, I'm guessing millions of people that listen to our radio show, or at least thousands, that look, if you can treat this like a pitcher who's just warming up and no big deal, you're easing your way on into it. And I was ready to believe it. I was ready to believe it through the first couple of answers or statements that DeMeco gave. But now I have no recourse but to go with my gut instinct on this. So let's lead into this. CJ Stroud not throwing again today at OTAs, which shouldn't be it should not be a big deal. Here's DeMeco's opening statement.
First off, I know everybody's going to ask, first, is CJ not throwing again? There's no concerns with CJ. It's just general soreness. We're taking extra precaution with him, but he'll be good to go. No concerns on my end there. Really excited the way our guys are working and competing out at practice. When you see a good team, what excites me is you're seeing both sides make plays. Offense, defense, there's a lot of back and forth, guys making plays. So really excited to see where our team are here in our second week of practicing. They're really growing, developing, taking the steps we need to take. And it's fun to watch.
Question is something about CJ. Will he throw or something?
For CJ, it'll be, like I said, he has general soreness, and we're just taking extra precaution with him. When he's ready to go, he'll be ready to go.
Okay, there's one more. This next one's the money one. General soreness, okay, cool. Feels a little bit too much like Astros discomfort, right? But it makes sense. He's a throwing athlete. Pitchers, quarterbacks, cricket players, whoever else throws. You got to be careful. You got to be careful with that shoulder capsule there. This is the no comment that I have a real tough time with this next no comment. Okay, I thought I turned my mic off there for a second. I don't want to be this guy. I don't want to read too much into a no comment. But here's the question. I think it might have been Will Kunkel, but I'm not sure, asking if he had any work done on his shoulder in the offseason.
You have any work on his shoulder in the offseason?
That's it for CJ, guys. On the questions, that's it. When I said that's it for him. Like, it's general soreness, and we're taking extra precaution with him. We're not gonna rush him into anything. He'll be fine when the moment is for him to be ready to go. He'll be ready to go.
Okay, right. Okay. For those of you who are poker players amongst us, let me know. Let me do this body language analysis for me.
When I said that's it for him, like, it's general soreness, and we're taking extra precaution with him. We're not gonna rush him into anything. He'll be fine when the moment is for him to be ready to go. He'll be ready to go.
I think he had. My gut. I have zero inside information on this. My gut is that he had some kind of work done on his shoulder in the offseason. If DeMeco had gone in and said, no, I'm going to answer one question and that's it, and then it's no comment, maybe that's a possibility. My gut tells me that he had some kind of a procedure. The thing that I'm not overly concerned, just because CJ on Wednesday did start off throwing, and I'm wondering if wherever he is in the rehab, they don't have to release an injury report or anything, that maybe that's all it was. DeMeco said some really good stuff at this press conference that got me excited about a couple things. We're going to get to that. This is my overall reaction to the press conference in general. But what do we have to gain from it? Durpin. Okay, Durpin. No, we will not do this. We will not. It's just the off season. You sound like somebody from Luxembourg in spring of 1938. That was like, why are we worried about this Hitler fella? Everything's going to be just fine. No. Yeah, I have to be cognizant of this stuff. It is just the offseason. But in most other programs where the quarterback is healthy, he's out there throwing. And if it feels like my gut instinct after listening to that no comment is that he probably had surgery. And it still could be no big deal. It would be it's the kind of thing that, as one of you said, why hide it? Yeah, like, what did they have to gain from hiding it? It's a really good question, which is, why do the Astros have anything to gain from hiding the things they do? I think there's an element of just having an organizational philosophy of holding things close to the vest and not putting any more information out there than there needs to be. And you don't overthink it. You just try to not divulge any more than you have to as a policy. Those are your standard operating procedures. And it's up to us to get frustrated about it as fans. Like we're gonna get, don't judge me and what I'm gonna be worried about. I don't want to be like this, man. You think I like being like this? You think I wake up in the morning and I'm like, sure hope CJ's not out there throwing today. That'll put a really big wrench in my plans. And I wouldn't care if he wasn't throwing. It was just, and I was cool through those first couple comments. And hopefully that's all it is. So we're just moving on to greener pastures. We're not cooked. Did you say, oh, we're chalked? We're not cooked at all. Their now comments are louder than any comments could have been. Seth traumatized by the Astros medical team. I do think you like it a little bit. I feel alive. I care about something. Damn it. Yes, I feel alive, but I'm also kind of worried, kind of nervous because I can't do anything about it. As far as my personal experience from surgeries that are undisclosed, I went through this, and I wasn't a quarterbacker or somebody who has as much a focus of concern, but I had a torn ACL one year and ended up having all these massive complications, ended up having 4 surgical procedures, had to have a PICC line in for 6 weeks because they didn't even know if it was an infection, which it wasn't. It was a long ordeal to the point where the media didn't really find out about it until like June or July of the next season, I think, that I might not actually play the next year in 2005, I think. But it wasn't as big a deal because I wasn't a quarterback, so nobody really thought much of it. It was an ACL. And I don't know why the Texans wouldn't have released any information then, but people weren't going to pry and inquire the same about a non-quarterback. It's just people have heightened interests about quarterbacks. Some of you have fantasy drafts, between now and when training camp begins, and you'd like to know exactly what's going on with CJ. Some of you might dabble in the dark arts of futures bets with the internet gambling and whatnot and so forth, or with Underdog, with your pick'ems. And I don't know if you can do futures on that, but that's why people care. On to the more positive stuff. This is DeMeco. Let's do this. I want to do DeMeco on the offensive line's mentality. I liked this answer.
It's a great question. Our offensive line, the mindset, I see it drastically changing. I see Coach Cole Popovich, his instant impact on those guys. You can see it from the way they work in their individual drills, the way they come off the line with low pass. It's just the small technique things that you see, how they're dialed in on their hand placement, just speaking the same language. One of the coolest things I've seen when we were working out in phase 2, we work out, we activate our guys here in the bubble, and we all travel outside to do our different drills. And to see the O-line come out, and whoever was out first, they waited on the other guys, and they joined together as a group, and then they traveled down to the opposite end of the field to do their position work. So that just shows me that togetherness, that connection that I truly believe in. You want to be a great unit, you have to be connected. So Cole has kind of spurred that connection, that intensity, the mentality that I'm looking for. And we have that. We have the intangibles of what it takes. Now we just got to go out and get it done when we put pads on.
Okay, this is what I like to be hearing about that. I feel like, all right, this OTAs is no pads on whatsoever, but there seems to be a focus on being a group, moving as a group. I like, as a defensive lineman, especially if you're a defensive lineman on a 4-3 team where guys aren't as fat as defensive linemen, it's really fun whenever the offensive line is moving together in a group to either make moo sounds or a suey or something like that, or a beep, 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 something to make fun of how fat they are. But it's good. That's what they're supposed to be. The big uglies. You want a group that looks like, yeah, those are the big uglies. Those are the old Washington, the Hogs from back in the day. Those are guys that are more likely to be found in a barroom brawl in the offseason than at Fashion Week in Milan or Paris or wherever the hell that is. I feel like we got a little bit more barroom brawler, at least in mentality, than we do Fashion Week. Oh no, it's raining and I've got velvet shoes on. Give me some of that. For any of you just joining, we've already covered the CJ Stroud stuff, but if I see any comments in here, I will bring them up. Yeah, they look like closing time at a dive bar. That's what you want them looking like. Big, ugly, poor hygiene. Steve McKinney, who unfortunately we didn't get to see the best of Steve McKinney just because he was the only veteran player on an offensive line that had a bunch of rookies and everything. Like Steve McKinney was the perfect example. He's all dapper and trim now, but back in the day, and remember, he was with the Colts as well. It's not like he was always on expansion teams. Like that's the offensive lineman for me. Just a big sloppy mess, bad haircut, all of that. I feel like these guys are uglier in a good way. This is DeMeco on the second-year players in general, but he diverts it over towards Kamari Lassiter specifically.
Guys, last year, when you look at, I talked about Kalen and Kamari, the cool thing about them is, and I hardly had to coach Kamari because he showed up with just this extreme work ethic, this mindset that he was the best guy out there. So when you get guys and you scout guys who have that mindset, it's a lot easier to work with guys. There's a lot less to work on. There are always a few technical things, but for me, the main thing what I challenge guys on is that mindset to be great. I believe in anything you try to do, if you're going to be good at it, you got to put hard work in. Everybody who has a job and whatever you work to do, whatever you work to serve and your purpose, like you have to work hard at it to be effective. And that's the same here on the field. So we get guys with the right work ethic, getting better, growing, it's going to be easy.
Yeah, and I'll get to Kamari in a second. This one comment, because we've addressed this. I've addressed this a couple times. CJ was shooting shots at the DreamCon basketball game. I did a video on this weekend. It set my mind at ease a little bit, and at least we knew it wasn't something drastically bad. But do remember that shooting a basketball doesn't put nearly, if any, stress on your shoulder in comparison to throwing a football or a baseball or anything else like that. So that's where maybe if you did have a procedure done in the offseason, the fact that yes, he's been shooting, he did the free throw in the Rockets playoffs, remember, as well. So it's not like I don't think anything recent or drastic. And the fact that he did start initially throwing last Wednesday, probably it is probably general soreness, as DeMeco alluded to, but I just don't know why they would demur to answer whether he had a procedure done or not. Like, that's a pretty yes or no. So the no comment is what kind of rattled me on that. It probably, most likely, 90% chance it's no big deal. Just like hand issues with Yordan Alvarez tend to, on average, not be a really big deal. You've got to be vigilant. Head on a swivel. As far as Kamari Lassiter goes, he spoke today, and I'm going to do his video either later today or tomorrow. But Kamari, man, he gave a couple answers that is, as we've discussed. Whoa, my camera's unplugged. What the hell? Hold on. What the fuck? No, it was not, you fuckers. What the hell? That's my undercam. Don't show that side of me. I'm too old for this crap. Apologies to everybody. I don't know what happened there. I didn't jostle or knock anything. And now my camera's not functioning. Hold on 1 second, please. What the fuck? I'm still under warranty. All right. Well, I'll look down at you guys, but that's going to be hard. All right, let me see. Okay, as far as Kamari goes, young sport, tussle your hair. As far as Kamari goes, we'll go with it. As far as Kamari goes, he's a football junkie. He's all about it. He's about it, as we used to say back in the day. You know, back when I graduated high school in 2012 or whatever. The Kamari video is good, and everything that DeMeco said is true. He was so much more polished than most rookies, and DeMeco said he barely even had to coach him. But obviously, it's a little bit more than that. But he is like Will Anderson, Daniil Hunter. I think Derek Stingley, obviously, just completely wrapped up 100% totally into it. This camera situation it cannot be tolerated. Let me see if there's any comments we got to get to. Excuse me about the F-bombs. I apologize. This isn't my under camera. This is my actual laptop camera. If I did have an under camera, listen, you gotta scrutinize every part of your body. Every part of your body. Texans media troubles bleed into my live stream. I don't need a tech guy. I need like a simple, like, quit moving stuff around so much guy. I definitely knocked a cable around. Oh, that might be it. Oh, anyway, we won't worry about it. Open control panel. No. I got that. No, that's not. That's it is my default camera. Thank you, Daniel. Thank you, Daniel. You've given me good advice before. I got that. It's just not connected. The option disappeared to even add that. Anyway, the option's on there, but it won't let me click on it, and it comes up black. So I don't have an under camera. Seth was my OnlyFans cam. Yeah, listen, when you're listen, I gotta shoot these scenes from multiple angles and then go back and splice it together later. This OnlyFans life isn't as glamorous as people think it is. It's a whole lot of work. Unplug it and plug it back in. Let's do that. Just gonna kill my AVD. Okay, we're gonna try. I'm gonna plug that. We're gonna work through this together. Okay. Settings, camera, Razer Keo Ultra. That's right, I got the Ultra. See that? Ha 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 ha! Woo woo! We're in it. CJ's gonna be great. Life's gonna be good. You're gonna somehow you're gonna destroy the Pirates tonight, Astros. Destroy them. That's right, the stalwarts of the NL Central quiver in their boots when they see the Astros. And Seth Payne's OnlyFan cam. Thank you for the unplug it comment. The most basic advice that I constantly give my wife, and now I succumb to not trying it first. Thank you. All right, okay, one more now. Now that let's do DeMeco on. Oh, Ronald Darby. Ronald Darby, to remind you, was a Texans. He was a Texans for, I don't know what, 2 months or so. He was on a 1-year, $2 million deal. He announced his retirement. This is DeMeco on Ronald Darby.
Yeah, for Darby, with the decision that he made to retire, I know what that decision is like. It's not an easy decision, but I just want to wish Darby the best. I know it's a very difficult time to step away from the game that you love whenever that decision comes, whether, it's voluntary or it's your body saying you can't do it. It's difficult because you've done it for such a long time, and I don't take that decision lightly. And when it comes to us and how do we fill the position, yes, we'll look to add another corner. Whether it's a veteran or a younger player, whoever it may be, we'll look to add a guy.
Yeah, and we discussed this morning. Sean Bajani was filling in for Sean Pendergast, and the Ronald Darby was making the $2 million a year contract. They didn't sign him to be a starter, obviously, but it is good to have veteran backups in there. Immediately, my thought was, right, it's not a big deal, except that you're going to rely on your backup cornerbacks at times this year. And it was in the Cowboys game, was the first one that jumped to my mind. And I don't want to throw Okudah under the bus, but I think it was Okudah that was lined up as the nickel slot. And all he had to do, it was either Okudah or Henderson, but I'm pretty sure it was Okudah. All he had to do was keep inside leverage. He didn't keep inside leverage. And that special teamer from Dallas took off inside. You've got Kalen Bullock behind him. It wasn't his responsibility because he thought Okudah was going to have him inside. But, Okudah didn't quite necessarily, Bullock, theoretically maybe a veteran safety or a second year. Kalen Bullock would have anticipated a little bit better, or seen what was developing, and it was off to the races for a touchdown there. So it matters. The secondary depth matters, and we'll see how Jalen Smith comes along. And this time last year, they were already gushing about Kamari Lassiter. That's a special case right there. I mean, Kamari Lassiter going in the second round basically because he had a slow 40 time might have been ultimately one of the biggest coups in any Texans draft if he continues on this track. So that felt really good. I think we might have one more, or was that it? Oh, Tim Settle. He was asked a question about Tim Settle. I thought this was interesting. So Tim Settle, who during training camp last year, I remember seeing Tim Settle and thinking, holy crap, he is way bigger than I thought. But he's got some wiggle to him. He's pretty damn fast. And I remember talking to Nick Caserio before an interview with him. I was just talking to him off camera, off microphone. And I had mentioned, man, Settle's a lot more athletic than I thought he was for a guy that's that big. I didn't realize he was that big. And I didn't, Caserio plays everything close to the vest, but I kind of sensed that maybe he didn't quite share my opinion of Tim Settle. But then Tim Settle went on and did some really good things for the Texans last year. It all made sense when DeMeco said this about Tim Settle in a very positive comment about Tim Settle.
Tim, last offseason, it was a big challenge for him just getting the weight down, getting in shape, getting ready to go. Now he's in shape. He's able to stay out there, be able to take the coaching from Coach Rod, who's doing a great job. And now you can work on those finer details. With Tim, one thing we're challenging him on to get better is his explosive hands. Like, how can he play with explosive hands and get on and off blocks, disengage the right way? And Tim is doing a good job with that.
Yeah, and so there's a lot of upside with Settle. I mean, he made some great plays last year as a pass rusher and in the run game. But, I mean, it makes sense that Caserio maybe gave that reaction. Maybe I'm reading too much into it, just like I probably read into DeMeco's body language a little too much. But it's interesting because Settle was in Buffalo. Ed Oliver was in Buffalo. And Ed Oliver, when he was coming out of college, I thought that was going to be his challenge. Now, Ed Oliver is at the opposite end of the spectrum, smaller guy, but didn't have to use his hands when he was in college. He was just so athletic. He could kind of get ping-ponged around and it didn't matter. And for him, it was kind of a slow build for him in the NFL because he really had to learn how to use his hands. Settle's the opposite end of the spectrum. He's a massive guy. And he does have wiggle. If he can really learn to use those hands, and he's, like, he's a veteran player now. This is not like some rookie with upside. So some guys just never really learn how to use their hands. But that could end up being a really nice development because they don't have a lot of truly massive guys on that defensive line. And if Settle can be relied upon and not just somebody that comes in and makes some splash plays here and there, but just as a steady down out guy, that could be a great development. Great development. Tim's Progress, sponsored by Ozempic. Are there any stories about NFL players using Ozempic yet? I'm intrigued by that. The thing I'd wonder about is, like, with any weight loss tactic that's like pharmaceutical, there's always a drawback in terms of your body not absorbing certain nutrients, or it's harder to get as much nutrition. I know a lot of elderly people are having some of the drawbacks to using Ozempic on them is they don't get enough protein. And with elderly people, it's really important to have if anything, it's better to be a little bit overweight than underweight because you need protection from falls and just being able to function in the world. So I'd be hesitant to think that an offensive lineman should use Ozempic or a defensive lineman should use Ozempic, but somebody's got to be a guinea pig. I don't want it to be Tim Settle. I'd prefer it to be somebody from the Jaguars. Caserio's hyped for some random Colts practice squad guy that didn't even make the squad. Oh, yeah. Well, yeah. But, it's Caserio's version of hyped. He just, he gets Caserio doesn't fall in love with anybody. I think he gets excited about guys and about their upside and everything, but he's not going to, I don't think he necessarily has sentimentality about it. If you've been a personnel person for any amount of time in the NFL, you've been burned by guys that you loved as prospects enough to know that you can never love again. You have to put a callus on your heart and basically approach it as like, yeah, we're going to take this guy and we'll see how it works out. A lot of times guys check off every single box and then they get to the NFL and they're just duds for whatever reason. It's sad, really. It really is sad. There's one thing. Let me go off on a tangent, as I'm wont to do. I do, as awesome as it is that the NFL is what it is, that I kind of miss that there was some time, maybe in the 80s or 90s, it used to be enough just to be a great college player. Like that, you would live forever as a legendary college player, and it didn't matter whether you made it in the NFL or not as much. And as the NFL just grew and grew and grew, and then maybe as the college football got a little bit more, I guess, either diversified or the bowl games stopped mattering as much. It's like you just can't respect somebody for like Vince Young, man, just his college career. That's all you need to know. And it would be nice if outside the state of Texas, Vince Young was regarded as just, wow, that guy was that guy took the bull by the horns in college. He's an incredible college football player. But now when you tell the story of Vince Young outside of Longhorn circles, you got to mention his NFL career and everything. Tim Tebow. He'd be better off if he had never played in the NFL, even though he had some success early on. It just, he had an incredible college career, and we can leave it at that. Danny Werfel, that'd be probably the best example. Horrendous, awful, didn't belong in the NFL quarterback, but had an incredible college career. Love Danny Werfel. It's kind of like when you, it's kind of like anybody's own high school football career, you know? I'm jealous as hell of people that won state championships in high school. I used to tell Owen Daniels that all the time. It's funny, when I talk to high school kids sometimes, I go back to my high school, and I was talking to a kid that had a couple sectional championship patches on his jacket. And I'm like, dude, I'm jealous as hell of that. And he looked at me like, what the hell are you talking about? I was like, I never won sectionals on a team sport. That would have been awesome, man. When you're in high school, that's your whole world. You don't even know about all the other crap that actually happens and how minuscule you are in the grand scheme of things. When you're in high school, your entire universe is right there, and the whole town knows about everything. And you know that you're playing with kids you grew up with and everything. It's the best thing in the world. And Owen Daniels did say that. I interviewed him once, and I'd never had this conversation with him. And he didn't. I asked him, what actually felt bigger and what was more emotionally impactful, the Super Bowl or the high school state championship. And, he didn't give a clear answer, but he basically reiterated some of those things I said, that there's something about winning a state championship in Illinois, right? It's never going to be the same. Not in college, not in the NFL. It's just different because you've grown up with these kids. Hank Hill, Al Bundy. Yes. Al Bundy had a point. 5 touchdowns in a game. Are you kidding me? You know how many guys there are in the NFL that never scored 5 touchdowns in one game? I can't remember how good his team was. Al was particularly fixated on his own individual performance, which probably speaks to maybe why things didn't work out with him as he planned in life. Focus outward, Al Bundy. Don't be focused on just you. How about the offensive lineman that helped you get those five touchdowns? That's the real tragedy about Al Bundy harping on the 5 touchdowns was that I can't remember him once ever giving credit to his offensive line that helped them get those 5 touchdowns. Poke high. That's right. All right. I got to get going. One of the actors from King of the Hill just passed away. I just saw the headline this morning. I don't know who it was. The cartoon character lives on, but the original voice is dead in the ground. All right. Awesome. Hey, subscribe or whatever if you want to. Come back next. I'll have 7 cameras next time.